not surprised with the new communion cups. Come back next week, we'll have a solo called 8 ounces. Enough left for a little meal. Eat to your heart's content. Listen, we got a gold Kia Soul. I'll give you the license plate number, but your engine's running. Now, is it? Everybody watching them to leave. Do you know your automatic driver's license plate number? Oh. Remember the days when you used to take a key and just turn it on and you just push it? I think we need to laugh more in church. That's just a personal thing. Because I always told Christians we're straight-laced, sober, and sad. Trying to fight that profile. Yeah, we should share some of those, shouldn't we, with these? Okay, let me start out with asking a question. Would you describe yourself this morning as a content person? If you say yes, then I'll say, okay, so when you leave here and your car is running, and you drink your gasoline out of your tank, or your tires are flat and your battery's dead, are you still content? Good perspective. This is October 23rd, okay? Those of us who get paid at the end of the month, we're not going to make it. Are we content? It's really interesting. I thought early on in my, when I was a non-Christian, and then when I became a Christian at 21, that time frame was a real difficult time because I knew I should do things differently than I've been doing, but it was really, really hard. And that's when I was in college, and I wanted to pursue a degree, and I wanted to get money because I wanted to take that money, and I wanted to buy a nice house, I wanted to buy a nice car, I wanted to marry well. I wanted to have all those kinds of things that gave me security that I could handle and control. And I wasn't doing so well with that. My life, I was hoping that the good things would outweigh the bad. That wasn't working out very well either. I always wanted more. I was fairly materialistic. And I thought that's what was going to make me happy. And I bought into a lot of our cultural stuff. After coming to Christ, hearing different information, hearing an alternative, and realizing that's what I really, really wanted for the long term in my life, it was quite an adjustment to try to release things that were so ingrained in me. If you're also a detail person, borderline obsessive compulsive, which is where I was as well, nothing was ever good enough. No paper I ever wrote was good enough. Nothing I ever did was good enough. It could always be done more. And it wasn't until a professor that I admired tremendously was talking about the realities of life, and he said, gentlemen, for some of you here, serving God in a seminary, for you to get an A is a sin. I said, you're nuts. Isn't it all about the GPA? He says, now for some of you to get a C, that is a sin. I'm confused. It was all about where you were and who you are in your relationship with Christ. And then he began to say, because I have seen, this is the professor speaking, I've been here for decades, and I have watched many, many thousand men walk across the graduation stage, and we give them their diploma, their master's degree, or their doctoral degree. And as they walk down the steps off the stage, there's their wife handing them their divorce papers. He says, is that the price you want to pay to get an A? And I had another professor at a church up in Austin. He was flying back and forth between Dallas and Austin, pastoring and teaching, and he had his doctoral degree. But when he was going through the same school that we were going through, he was one of our professors, he went to each one of his professors. He said, what do I do to contract a C in this class? He said, what? I want a C. I want to get a C in this class. class. What do I have to do? So that you had a verbal contract. It's, well, you have to read these 5 books. But for you, if you want to see, you can read 2 of them. You have to write these many papers. But if you want to see, you can only write, 1 or 2 instead of the other ones. He said, that's what I wanted. And he did. And he got his C's all through his time. You think, well, why would a guy do that? Well, he was married and had 5 kids. All of them like under the age of 7. He was working at UPS downtown Dallas in the loading docks at night. He knew he could not love his wife, his family, and do justice by them with the income while he was going to school. Just with the load that he knew he had to do educationally to get the kind of grades he wanted. And so he contracted for a C throughout his career. When he graduated, people said, hey, what are you going to do? He said, I think I'm going to pursue my doctorate degree. And they laughed in his face. He says, you can't get your doctorate degree with that kind of GPA. He says, well, that's traditional thinking. He says, well, I'll see what I can do. He went to school, I think he was in Michigan or Michigan State, where he got his doctorate degree, and was on the honor roll. It wasn't that he didn't have it. It's just that what was it going to take for him to be content with the things he needed to do? Had another professor, brilliant man, in Old Testament, and in the languages. He went across the seas to get his doctorate degree, did all the research, did all the work, and chose not to write the paper at the end. Why? He says, I'm not interested in the degree. I was interested in the learning and the knowledge. He said, you turned down the degree? He said, I wasn't interested in the degree, just having your letters behind your name. Those things impress you when you're striving for those kinds of things, when you couldn't pull an A out of any part of your body. And you say, I wish I could be like that. And there they are, they've got it. And they're saying, well, that's not important. And he said, what is important? Contentment was one of those things that as a new believer, I thought, that's valuable. That's the MasterCard commercial. It's priceless. How do you put a price on inner peace? How do you put a price on putting a smile on God's face because of your obedience? And yet we get caught up in this treadmill, this hamster cage, this rat race, pushing. The American way is do it more, do it harder, get there early, stay there late. For what? More. More of what? And when is more not enough? And everybody has to ask those questions. I can't tell you what it is, but I can tell you I've seen the results of people who are striving and trying to attain. And even if they get it, it still doesn't quite meet their expectations. I think what I want to do this morning is pull back the curtain a little bit on when Paul talked to his disciple, young pastoral Timothy, the church at Ephesus. He was going to release this huge responsibility on this young man, relatively young. And this pastoral letter, he wrote 2 to Timothy, but this first one, in chapter 6, he goes over some things that I think in this particular area we would do well to listen to. Because I think if you can come to a place, especially in your Christian life, it helps a lot as a believer to pull this off. Because unbelievers, I'm not sure what source they draw from. But we need to learn it. And we need to come to terms with it, I think. Because I think it'll really radically change your life, your perspective. Now, when we look at the biblical term for the word contentment here in the scriptures in our passage, which is basically 1 Timothy 6, and we're going to be looking at 6 through 10, and then we're also going to be looking at 17, 18, and 19. The word contentment here is a word that carries the idea of sufficiency. describes something that is enough. It's enough. I'm okay. I am satisfied. It is a sufficient concept. Some people don't like that. Some people think it means lazy. It does not. It does not mean complacency. It does not mean mediocrity. It makes a distinction between perfection and excellence. Okay? You're never going to be perfect. Stop it. Yes. There's one person we know of on record who is perfect. And he didn't have anybody else to back him up. He's the only one. So stop trying to be Jesus. But excellence, if you have that within your ability, then continue to grow. I'm not even going to say the word strive, but continue to grow, continue to develop. Don't become apathetic and don't fall into laziness or mediocrity. Don't look for the lowest common denominator. Don't look at what you can do to get by in your Christian life. Don't do the minimum. Even if everybody else is doing that. You are royalty. The Lord is asking you to act like that. Not that you're a cut above, not that you're superior, not that you're arrogant in any of those things, but to know who you are and to live accordingly. So, when we're trying to get this God-given sufficiency called contentment, there are some things about contentment that carry a lot of benefits, and I'd like to look at some of those this morning. One thing about being content is that it allows you to enjoy the present rather than the future once. Have you ever heard or have you ever thought about this? I'll be happy when. It's usually about something about tomorrow. So when I get that house, when I get that car, when I get the kind of marriage, when I get that raise or that promotion, when I retire, I'll be happy because then I don't have to work anymore. I don't have to go through that stuff, jump through those hoops. I can just relax and get my hammock and get my Bill Miller sweet tea and just, that's it. I've arrived. And you go, what? So this whole retirement thing, I think, is an American conspiracy. Because we fold it over, we roll it over into, okay, I'm 65, I'm 70, whatever it is, and, I still got health, I still got vitality. The thing looking back at me in the mirror is still okay. And since I'm not working anymore like I used to, then I guess I should deal with life. That should be my worldview, my outlook on life, and that's a lie. You don't retire from your life, especially as a believer. Let me drill that home to you. You do not slide home where it's safe when you get to a certain age. Do I just have to remind you of a few people like Moses starts his life at 80? Caleb, when he was 400, said, give me the high ground as we got into the promised land. You know the story with Kadesh Barnea, the 10 spies said no. Caleb, Joshua said, oh, yes, we can because God said so. Caleb says, I want that high ground. I want where it's hard. He was 80 in his mid-80s. You don't quit. If God has given you a breath, you can still pray. You can still be valuable to the kingdom. And you can be encouragement to your brothers and sisters in Christ. Do not get your mind lazy and inactive. Don't let it go dull. Don't be thick in your thinking just because your age is increasing. Your body's going to let you know soon enough the aches and pains and gravity. We know that. But it does not touch the spirit. And so God wants us to be, I believe, vital and active and sharp as long as we can serve Him in that regard. But contentment allows you to say, I love today. I'm not waiting for tomorrow to be happy. Tomorrow may never come, right? And here's the thing about it is, we get secular unbelievers in Madison Avenue saying, today could be the last day of the rest of your life. The first day of the rest of your life. It's like, they get it. They understand it. They just put all their eggs in the wrong basket. We should be able to understand, what is it to be satisfied with what God has given us? Why are we constantly striving for what? It can't be the accumulation of stuff because the stuff doesn't go with us. So where is your satisfaction? Where is your contentment? Where is your sufficiency in what you have and who you are? Never staying there, but always growing. Would you say that contentment is a choice? And does it come from the heart and not from circumstances? The enemy will rob you of your contentment if you allow it to, because circumstances out there just are very unfavorable. The statistics are you're going to get nailed sooner or later. James says it's when the trials and tribulations come. They're coming. Enjoy the time when they're not there. But they're coming. And when they do, can you be joyful? Can you be content? Can you be satisfied? I think contentment can come easily if we know who's in charge. Who's in control of the situation? The flat tire, the dead battery, the running engine. Whatever's going on in your life, your health, seemingly plateaued, maybe a little bit in decline. The aches and pains are more frequent, more severe. The future doesn't look that exciting from a human perspective. Can God be honored? Can God be glorified in your life as you continue to increase in age? No matter what the situation. Can He be, from your lips and from your life, be honored and glorified because you are content with life as you have it now? Contentment also gives us a freedom. I like this a lot. Contentment gives us the freedom to applaud and to acknowledge other people's success. It fights that green-eyed monster of jealousy and envy. How did they get promoted over me? How come they got that and I didn't get it? Now, the reason I'm kind of getting animated is because I got a 3-year-old and a 5-year-old living under my roof right now. You ought to hear, no, that's mine. That's not yours. I'm not going to share. How come they got this and I didn't get that? The 3-year-old just had a birthday 2 days ago. The 5-year-old wanted to know when's my birthday. I said, next year, when your birthday comes around. Why? She got a birthday. Yeah. But that's 5 and 3. How about 55 and 53? And people go, how come they did that? How come I didn't get that? I want that. Why are you laughing? Because it's so true. It's so true. It's our tendency. But it sounds silly when you say it out loud. If you see it at HEB, you see adults acting like that, you go, who's the child here? And sometimes things come out of people's mouth and you go, really? You haven't gotten over that? But it gives us a freedom to acknowledge other people's achievements. And we don't have to be jealous. Why? Because that's not us. We can be free to let people succeed or have what they have or do what they do. It doesn't have a direct result on us or our contentment or our joy or our happiness. We don't have to get, listen, if you have contentment, you know what you try to get victory over? Competition. And just the comparison. You know, comparison is like a cancer. When you start, Don't think it doesn't happen in the church. I'm telling you, I've seen some things in the church that just make me want to throw up. How someone can say to another Christian, because they have more money than them, they will bring in a bigger income than they do, that they don't like them. They're envious. They're jealous. They drive a better car. Before coming to Communion Chapel, those of you know my past, I've had people come up to me and say, I can't come to this church. I said, why not? If you look at the parking lot, it's God's honor. I said, what's the parking lot got to do with anything? I'm just kind of like, duh. They're saying, look at all those nice cars. We don't have a car like that. And so you're going to not come to a church that at that time is teaching the gospel, teaching truth, and it's your parking lots that's making the decision for you. Bothered me a lot. But Christians do it too. They compare themselves with one another, and they want to compete sometimes. Why? They don't have contentment. They're striving for something different, something more than what they have right now. They cannot be satisfied. They're not sufficient, thinking they deserve something different. I don't know if you're there, but if you are, work on this. Listen. There's a third thing that I think that contentment brings as far as a benefit. I think it enables us to develop a genuine, grateful spirit. Have you ever been around believers who are ungrateful? It's a sad, sad thing. It's a poor testimony. It's a poor witness. I told you this before because I love it so much I keep saying it over and over again. Contentment can be achieved, but not if you're trafficking in things and people who don't help you in this area. I personally don't go to shopping malls for that reason. I mean, I've visited them, but I don't go there regularly. Because window shopping to me just makes me irritated. When I see all this stuff, this is unique with me, I think. When I see all this stuff, especially clothes, the first thing that goes through my mind is, they don't have it in my size. So then I can just walk away. Right? But if they had it in my size, I want one of those. I have to have that. Why? This is what I heard from my grandmother years ago. She said, Money. The heart does not long for what the eyes do not see. When we've gone to mission trips, and my kids have gone to Mexico a couple times, and you've maybe gone to trips, and you've gone cross culture. It's amazing that people who are impoverished, have a smile on their face, seem like they're happy, and you want, don't you get it? They get what? You don't have. What are you talking about? They don't know they don't have it. They don't know. How many of you could raise your hand and say, I was probably pretty poor when I was growing up as a kid, but I didn't know it. The only time you find out is when someone else says, how come you're so poor? How come you don't have this thing and this thing, that? It's like, I didn't realize I was bad off. The media does that to us, does it not? You are incomplete if you don't have this car because it's a sexy car. This piece of metal will make you sexy. It'll be attractive. Teeth whitening, air fresheners, deodorant, perfumes, certain kind of clothes. You gotta have it. If you don't have it, you're not what you think you are. You can be so much more if you just bought our product. And even if you don't have the money, take out a loan. Go in debt. You've got to have this. And you're going, okay, I gotta have it. And then, do you realize you've been lied to once you get it? And you go, you look in the mirror and I got it. It's like, but I don't feel happy or more content or satisfied. What's wrong with this picture? Because we've been lied to. Because we're not content with who we are and what we have. And if you look at it from a spiritual standpoint, you got it all. You got everything. You win. You win. No matter who tells you you're a loser, you already have won. That's what makes salvation such a wonderful gift. You didn't earn it. You can't do anything for it. And it's been given to you because somebody loves you unconditionally, just the way you are. You don't have to improve to earn salvation from Jesus. And now that you become a king's kid, he would like you to live accordingly. And so he's giving you some directions and instructions to do so. It's not so hard, but the world doesn't get it. Because they've rejected this, and they've got to come up with a substitute. So they do externals. But God's never been impressed with externals, has he? He's always been concerned about your heart, what's going on the inside of you. You love him with a whole heart, he loves it. He loves to see his children living out the life that he wants us to have, which is abundant, which means purposeful and meaningful. Not hoarding and holding on to stuff. I think we ought to make a commitment right now to get rid of all of our storage units and have garage sales. I don't think you're buying into this. It's kind of hard, isn't it? Why do you have more stuff? How many of you park your cars in your garage? What's wrong with you folks? I mean, just little things. Just little things. I couldn't get a car in my garage, and I tried. Even a smart car. Even a motorcycle. Yeah. What was the reason for that? Look at verse 6. 1 Timothy 6. Paul includes this topic, I think, to his disciples because it is a priceless commodity. This young pastor in Ephesus is up against false teachers. He's up against grooming needs for widows. He's got people in his own church questioning his competency because he's young. He's got all kinds of stuff he's got to fight against. Did you notice in this book, in Timothy, chapter 5, verse 23, Paul says, you know what, Timothy, I know this stuff is going to eat you up. But your stomach's turning over and over, isn't it? Why don't you take a little bit of wine? Did you know that? Paul tells Timothy to drink a little bit of wine for his upset stomach. There's so much going on in a church environment. It's good. But there's so many contentment killers in ministry. I had to think long and hard about whether I wanted to volunteer for that kind of stuff. I'm serious about it. I did not want the title Reverend in front of my name at all. I still don't like it. I'm glad nobody calls me that. In fact, I don't like titles, period. But that's just me. And so, he's talking about how to make your life in ministry and to avoid some of these contentment killers, which are high expectations. People walk through the front door and expect certain things from certain people all the time. It's too hot in this room. It's too cold. Seats are too hard. Service is too long. The guy up front, he didn't talk really well. I didn't get anything out of it. The music, so-so. I don't think they're coming back to this place. Is there no place I can go to? Sure. It's kind of hard to see people going out the back door, even though they come through the front door. Appreciation. There's a month of October set aside for that. I don't know the other times, not so much. It's really difficult sometimes when you go through that. And I don't mean to be a whiner. I'm just talking about other people I have seen shipwrecked. There are some churches who turn out pastors like a meat grinder. And then there are pastors who get up there and beat the pulpit and beat the people to death. This ministry thing is really difficult at times. It's not smooth sailing. So Paul tries to address that to his young pastor friend. Does anybody know the story of a man by the name of Horatio Spafford? Challenge Dan's back there holding his hand up. It's a song that this man wrote called It Is Well With My Soul. You probably all know the song. It's been sung a lot. I've heard it sung at funerals a lot too. Horatio Spafford was a lawyer in Chicago. Lost his 2-year-old son in the Great Chicago Fire in 1871. But as a lawyer, he was heavily invested in property. All that burned down too. He was almost decimated. And because of the economic downturn and another thing that happened 2 years later, he sent his family, his wife and his 4 daughters across the sea to start something in Europe. Boating accident. It's like maybe ocean liners, and it went down. Lost 4 daughters. His wife survived. She sent a telegram back to her husband Horatio. The telegram read, "Saved, alone." Those are some circumstances. Losing 5 kids, 4 daughters at one time. So he gets on a boat, sails to meet his wife in Europe. And on the boat ride, he writes the lyrics of It Is Well With My Soul. That's contentment. That is being content. Do you cry? Do you grieve? Yeah, there are times when you do that. But it still doesn't affect that deep inner joy, contentment that God gives you because of who He is and what He has already done and what He promises He will do in your life here and hereafter. It puts everything in perspective. So even though there's a lot of contentment killers out there, it does not have to rob you of yours. Look at verse 6 of 1 Timothy. He talks about, is there any rewards for godliness? He says, yes, there is. Godliness, or obedience to God's word, has its own intrinsic reward. Because you know that you're doing what God has asked you to do. Your obedience to His word brings an inner peace and a satisfaction and a contentment all by itself. But when you add to it the fact that you're not distracted by worry and anxiety, strife, materialism, when contentment is paired up with godliness, there is great gain in the life of the believer. What a powerful combination to know that you're doing things obediently that pleases the Father, and that you're also freed from this world and all of its trappings and all of its callings and all of its temptations and all of its pulling away. Those two together, Paul says, is of great gain to the individual. There's a peace that is priceless. I don't think you can put a dollar amount to that. Look at verses 7 and 8. Have you ever heard about the Old Testament philosopher Job? Look at verse 7. For we have brought nothing into this world, so we cannot take anything out of it either. What did Job say? Naked I came into this world, and naked I shall go out in like manner. Blessed be the name of the Lord. How simple. I didn't bring anything to it. I'm not taking anything out. What more needs to be said? Well, what about the life in between, birth and death? Should you accumulate as much as you possibly can of the things of this world? All the accolades, the trophies, the awards, the promotions, the plaques, the income? Why not? Just get it all. For what purpose? For what purpose? So people will go, is that what you're looking for? I don't know. But if you are, it's a cul-de-sac. It's a dead end. Because those same people who applaud you and pat you on the back are going to be the same ones saying, so what have you done for me lately? Because they're not satisfied either. They don't want to hang around people who are content. Because to them, it means you quit. Okay? But if you are in your pursuit for the things of this world, the wealth of this world, it will be an uphill battle. You know that. Some of you are living it right now. But it will end in disappointment, and it probably will end in sorrow. I'm not saying there's anything wrong with possessions. I'm not saying there's anything wrong with accumulating things. We have basic needs. If they're in, we have to make that discernment. Look at verse 8. It says, if we can bring nothing into the world, 7, and we cannot take anything out, if we have food and covering, with these things we will be content. Are you content going to bed on a full stomach? Are you content with having a bed to sleep in? Are you content with a roof over your head that keeps the elements away? What else do you want? You said, Mike, this is America. And that's part of my point. Anywhere else, you would be so wealthy to have those things I just mentioned. Not even talking about transportation, not even talking about closets of stuff, not even talking about a refrigerator full of other stuff. We have storage units. We have garages. We have savings accounts. We have things tucked away and hidden for our rainy day. I'm not against those things. I just want you to be alerted of what the world tells us and how much we have bought into it. The Bible says you have your basics covered. I know that you need food. I know that you need clothing. I know that you need shelter. I take care of my creation. I love you more. I'll take care of you. Do you believe that? And most Christians say, not really. I've got to do something to do that. I've got to cover my bases. And then when they start doing that and accumulating their resources and stuff, they begin to get caught up in that and to see that they own the stuff they have. Their investments, the purchases, the properties. They're mine because I earned them, I bought them, they're mine. And I says, really? What if I took those away from you? Would you still be content? It really comes down to our motives and where our heart is. Because something in the Bible says something like, where your heart is, here's where your treasures will be. Did he just make that up? Or does he know human nature? See, we think a believer who has the boat, the home, the summer home, this, that, and the other, go, oh, God has blessed you. Really? Maybe he just did that himself or herself. Maybe they're not blessings at all. It obviously doesn't work in Hollywood. They have everything we would all want, seemingly. But they can't have happiness to save their lives. They just fill the tabloids up with their exploits and their breakups. Someone's got a $2.5 million, someone's got a $4.3 million home, and they can't get together, and the kids are all who knows what. Read it in the books, because every inquiring mind wants to know. Now, Paul understands this, and I think that's why he's coming from a wealth of experience, because he says in Philippians 4:11, it's not that I have want, but in every situation, whether I have or don't have, I will be content. I think it's a great little moniker for us to hold on to. Now look at verse 9 and 10. This is very telling. For those who aren't satisfied, who are not content, and who really want the things of this world, it says, but those who want to get rich fall into temptation and a snare, and many foolish and harmful desires, which plunge men and women into contrast to contentment and being satisfied with life and our station in life. Do you think it's the stuff? Or is it the attitude behind it? See, how many times have you seen on movies and TVs and everything out there outside the church that say, money is the root of all evil? We never said that. We never said that. There's nothing wrong with money. If you could be filled with the Holy Spirit, walking with Jesus, obedient, and be dirt poor, or if you could be filled with the Spirit, walking with Jesus, and be a billionaire, what would you choose? There's nothing wrong with money. Nobody should be discouraged because they've got it, or inherited it, or earned it. Okay? It's an amoral thing. It's not good or bad. It's what is done with it. But if that's your pursuit, do you believe you can be impoverished and materialistic? Absolutely. Absolutely. And so, you can have all the wealth in the world and still be materialistic because you just can't get enough. It's an addiction type. So verse 10, for the love of money is the root of all sorts of evil. And some, look at this, longing for it. They need it, they desire it, they wake up thinking about it and acquiring it. They have wandered away, some have wandered away from the faith. Do you think that this is a powerful deterrent to a believer's life? You can rip those anchors right out of their place and you start drifting. Start drifting. Have you ever thought about if you could win the lottery and turn it down? What would you do with the money if you did win the lottery? What would be the first thing you would do if you won this much money? That's worth asking. I think that's part of responding in life. If you make a hard commitment, say this right here on the top, I do this, I do that. But some people don't know how to handle money. They squander it. They're unwise with it. And do you think there's people out there waiting for somebody to win the lottery so they can all the relatives, like roaches, come out at night? Do you remember me? You owe me? Remember my... Goes on and on and on and on. It's hilarious, but it's very sad. It's very sad to watch how money can destroy people's lives. You think, don't need it, don't want it, better not even go there. But people who can do that, verse 9 and 10, it just says it just tears your heart out. It can't do that. Now, do you think Timothy was facing somebody in his church who were believers in Christ, who had money, who were wealthy in the things of this world? It's not a bad thing to have rich Christians in your church. Do they get preferential treatment? Do they get special seating, special parking, special access to stuff? You say, I better hope not. What do we always preach? Everything is even. Everything is equal at the foot of the cross. It doesn't make no difference where you came from, or who you are, what your skin color, what your gender. It makes no difference. So why are we giving preferential treatment to those who have stuff? Verse 17. Here's Paul's instruction. Tell the rich in this present world not to be conceited. They're not better. Nor should they fix their hope on the uncertainty of riches, because we know how fast that can go away. But on God is where they fix their hope and their certainty, who richly supplies all things for us to enjoy. I think it's wonderful when I hear Christian people who have worked all their lives, who have done a nice job with their nest egg, and they put it away and invested well, they have it, and they start spending it on themselves. I love it. It's a spend on themselves, they don't give to their kids and their inheritance. And is that the way it goes? It's the American way. What if mom and dad spent all of their earnings, all of their savings, all of their investments? You think the kids would be happy for them? Gee, mom and dad, congratulations, you deserve this. It's like, what about us? What about you? It's a different way of thinking. But we love to make it better for the ones behind us. We say. I'm just throwing it out there. I'm not telling you what to do. I want you to consider that. So they're to avoid conceit. They're supposed to fix their hope and their future security on the Lord, not on their riches, because they know that all the earthly things they have came from the Lord. We need to be reminded of that. Everything. So I don't have much. I don't care. Whatever you have, the Lord's given you. And He always deserves a portion of what you have. Not leftovers. He is a God of first fruits. He gets the top, not your leftovers. You say, well, you don't understand. I said, no, I don't understand. And the reason I get this way is because it took me a lifetime to get there. The money that you think that you're saving isn't worth anything anyway. It's not going to amount to anything. It's not going to change your life. But it does show where your heart is. I think that's what's pleasing to the Lord. But what are we supposed to do? He says, instruct them, verse 18, to do good, to be rich in good works, to be generous and ready to share. That's what the wealthy are supposed to do, the believers. Acts chapter 2, what were they doing? Those who have gave to those who didn't have and shared it. They sold stuff and passed out the proceeds so that everybody was encouraged. Everybody was excited. The love of God constrained them to say, I'm not holding on to stuff. I'm holding on for others. So for the wealthy, for those who have means, get involved. Help others. Be generous. And it doesn't mean I haven't given you a dollar amount. I'm not saying if you make this much amount, then you be generous. If you make so much, if you do this, then you get involved in the ministry. I'm not saying you do this, then you help out others. We're supposed to all be doing that at our own appropriate levels. Those who say, Mike, I don't have the check to write, but I've got the time to give. Boom! That has value. It was a labor of love. I know that. And if you were to put that into a contract and see money, that's pretty expensive. We can barter, we can exchange, we can do a lot of things. But it's all back to the heart and not the external stuff. If we were to complete our life and keep it simple, I think that would help us to make our decisions even better. I have actually said this out loud to God. I don't want the things I've asked for so many times in my life. Really. Because I would get caught. I know myself too well. I have driven down 410 many, many times saying, God, if I just had this, everything would be okay. I said, I just lied. It wouldn't be okay. Because some of us have seen things go through our hands. We've got them, they go away, and you're still with yourself. You're still stuck with yourself. So, God wants us to be channels of blessing to one another. We do really need each other. We are better together. We just have to get past ourselves and see what the Lord wants to do with us and through us to help and strengthen others. There's always going to be needs. There's always going to be the poor amongst us. There will always be a never-ending need that you and I cannot meet. The Communion Chapel cannot meet. But it doesn't change the heart to want to. If we had, we would. That's what we had to tell my kids growing up. I said, Dad, we want this. I said, hey, if I had it, I'd give it to you. If I could, but I can't. So the answer is no. change. We don't want to be miserly. We don't want to be stingy. We don't want to be selfish. It's all in the attitude of our heart. If God wants to bless you and give you a windfall of something that surprises you, and He surprised me many times with a phone call, a random letter, or a chance meeting. But also it's like, whoa, what do I do with this? But when you think about it ahead of time, it's a whole lot easier to decide. You say, Lord, if this should ever happen, that's what I want to do. Because I believe it's all about you. It'll take a lot of the choice making away from me. Trying to decide, because I want to decide, because I want to honor you first. I want to do this for them. Because I hear about needs all the time. And I just want to be able to say, I wish I could make that. I wish I could take care of that need myself. So there's always that constraint. But I think as we develop that, our heart is in the right place. As the situations change, we can act upon those hard decisions. By keeping life simple, I think it allows our basic needs to help drive our choices. Our wants and our luxuries need to be monitored. We have to know what our needs are and what our wants are. I think that's a huge decision making for every believer. Help others, get involved in the Lord's work, through people, and be generous. That's how Paul closes out this idea of contentment for his people. Look at the last slide. Just to keep things in perspective, just to realize that we're rich. We are rich people. It may not look like it in your checkbook, pocketbook, purse, or even in the place that you live. But please consider seriously not to get caught up in comparisons and competition, especially within the body of Christ. I think it does nothing but tear us apart. It gives fertilizer and fodder to the enemy. It wants to do nothing more than divide us and to make us discontent. We will never love each other, never be unified, if we're not first content as an individual believing, walking with the Lord. Because if we are, then we'll be freed up from all those other things that somehow take so many people down and out. Let's pray. Father, I don't know the situations of those here this morning, not completely anyway. But if this issue of contentment is something that's been elusive for a period of time, then I ask that you would help us to reconsider. We can always start today to do something different, something new. Father, those of us who have a degree of health, who have our basic needs met, need to be on task, need to be aware that at any time we may be called upon to give in some manner, some way. There are those in this room who are bombarded by requests because somehow they found out that they had more than their basic needs. They had an abundance. And so it makes sense, humanly speaking, to request more funds, more causes, more needs. And Father, even then, we have to make a decision. We have to prioritize. It goes on every single day of our life. Father, the thing I don't want to see happen is that we take you from your point of preeminence, first place, and dilute ourselves with all other things. Father, it's just a matter of each one of us coming before you and saying, Lord, is there anything in me that can be modified? Can you search me and know me and help me to understand what my needs are and what my wants are. Have I ever been sacrificial to the point where it made me uncomfortable? Did I ever give away things that I really, really wanted to keep? Or do I just give away the stuff I don't care about anymore? Father, contentment is something that's very elusive, but it can be developed. Paul's instructions to Timothy or his instructions to us. And it's in the context of the church. Why can we not continually seek your face, seek your righteousness, and all these other things, the basics of life, will be added unto you? Why? Because you are the great provider. There's nothing where your right hand is too short that it cannot reach down and touch our lives. We're not weak, too strong that it cannot uphold us in times of need. Father, help us to hone in on this idea of contentment and satisfaction in you, because your resources and your strength are unlimited. That's a better place to be than relying on ourselves. Father, we trust you for heaven. Why can't you trust us? Why can't we trust you for the tomorrow? Father, we ask these questions because we want to know. We desire to know more about you and how you're working in our lives. As we turn over each area, we begin to see how faithful you are and how much you want us to depend upon you and not on ourselves. When that happens, it frees us up in a way that's hard to explain. Father, we do love you. And we want to be able to demonstrate that love to you on a daily basis. Help us to learn of you through your word, talk to you through your spirit and prayer, and to grow in the likeness of your Son, Jesus. And it's in his name we pray.